You can color Princess Donut on this book edge with a stencil and gel pens. Let me show you how. First, you need to prep the edge. You can see that the page ends are not completely level and smooth. To fix it, sand it with 80 grit until it's even, and then smooth it out with 240 grit. This is really easy to do and can even be done with hand sanding. Now it's smooth and level, and your stencil will stick well, and it will feel like you're coloring on a coloring book page. Take it out of the clamps and spank it a bit and flip its pages to get all the dust out. You should be doing all this sanding and dusting outside unless you want to live amongst a cloud of paper dust for months. This next step is optional, but I like to paint the top and bottom edge with acrylic paint for a more cohesive book makeover. I use regular craft paint and water it down a bit until it seeps into the pages just a tad, so it feels more like you're staining than painting. This makes it take less time to separate the pages later because they don't stick together as firmly as they do with unwatered down paint. You don't have to water it down if you don't want to though, just be extra careful when cracking and separating the edges so they don't stick together and tear. Now grab your stencil and peel off the transfer tape from its backing. Lay the transfer tape gently onto the stencil, starting by dripping it down to touch the middle and then smoothing it out. Apply firm pressure to get good adhesion and then flip it over. Slowly peel the backing off. I like to apply pressure and roll the backing off to make sure that none of the stencil stays on the backing. Grab the book and double check that the spine is in the correct direction. Hover the stencil over the edge without touching it until you feel like it's lined up where you want it to be, and then press down. Rub firmly over the whole stencil to make sure it's stuck firmly in place before peeling off the transfer tape. Then rub it down one more time after you remove the transfer tape to make sure it's really stuck on there. Now color in that line art. For this one, I'm using plain black gel pen. Stick around to the end and see a preview of the stencil I'm designing for Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 2. When you're done, use a paper towel to rub off any excess gel pen so it doesn't smudge later. To remove the stencil, grab a vinyl weeding tool and make sure that you do not hold the point facing down. Hold it parallel to the book so that when you're peeling the stencil off, you're not poking into your book and making any gouges. Now for the most fun part, coloring your book edge just like you would a coloring book page. For creating fun gradients like I do on these Krakeran tentacles, make sure you have a color for each step in the gradient. Gel pens dry quickly, so you don't have a lot of time to blend two colors to make a transitional color, so you need that transitional color as its own pen color to make the blend look smooth. Once I'm done coloring, I use the color that I used for the liner and do touch-ups on any places where I might have accidentally gone over the lines. For bonus details, use a white gel pen to add things like highlights to the eyes and little sparkles and things here and there. To seal in your masterpiece, use Kamar spray varnish. Don't you dare use hairspray. Use something like this varnish that is meant for sealing in artwork that is archival safe and non-yellowing. Use a little bit of paper to mask off the edges of your book so you don't get any spray on them. And then put the book in your clamps and take it outside and spray it. Apply 2 light coats of the spray varnish, letting it dry completely in between. I like to let it dry for at least an hour before I remove it from the clamps and crack the pages. I love the vivid colors that you can achieve with gel pens. It looks a lot like paint to me when you're done, but it's much easier to control than acrylic paints and a paintbrush. But if you're not into gel pens, you can also use other mediums like colored pencils or markers. Here you can see the same design done in colored pencil and gel pen. I've tested a lot of different mediums for this method, and most of the results are really great, so just use what you have or pick the medium that you like best. As promised, here's a sneak peek at the stencil design for Carl's Doomsday Scenario. Subscribe and stick around to see the stencils for the rest of the series.